Good morning, my Scrappin friends. I'm Deborah Kozlovic, and I'm a Creative Memories Independent Advisor from Australia. I hope everybody is well, and thank you all for watching my tutorials, and thank you for subscribing. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to see more different layouts that I create, you can look me up on Facebook and Instagram. And today I would like to share with you a Easter border that I've created with the Springtime Soiree. And this cute little border, you know, it's got the flowers, you've got the little tiny Easter eggs, and then you've got these tiny little bunnies that I've created with all the Creative Memories tools. And this is a bigger version of a bunny, but I realized that it was probably just a little bit too big for my border. So I'll probably use that on another different project. So today, to create this border along with me, I'll just pop this out of the way. You are going to be needing some different assorted papers from Springtime Soiree, or maybe there's another collection that you would like to use that's nice and colourful, you know, to create the flowers, to create the Easter eggs. The other things that you would need is your heart template, which is the little Easter egg in the middle. Also your small CC circle, the red blade and the blue blade. I'm also using the Wildflower Border punch. I'm using the little heart and the circle out from the piece by piece. The other punch that I am using is the Full of Love punch. And I've also pulled out the daisy punch because I thought that it might, I did punch one out, just find that. I thought it might be okay to create the bunny ears on the Easter bunny, but it would if you make your little bunny face a little bit smaller, and then you'd be able to use something like that. But other than that, for the bunny ears, I just, you know, freehand cut those. So I won't be using that today, but that is an optional if you would like to do that. The other thing that I will be using today is the decorative trimmer, and also the Springtime Soiree layered borders. And I've used that one there, the little tree with the bushes and the green down the bottom. So to create our border, the first thing that you need to get, so just pop all this out of the way. Just clear up my little space. I've got some little pieces here that are pre-cut. So the first thing that we're going to need is our little base for the border, which is this one here, and it's got the coloured stripes on the back, and it's just got a nice natural colour. So I'm going to be using that for my border. As you can see that this piece has been cut from that. So what I'm going to do is just going to neaten off that edge. Okay, so we're going to bring in our decorative trimmer, and we are going to be using this wavy end, and I'm going to mark that at 3 inches, but I'm going to set it like the 1/4 inch from either end. So lining it up at 3. And then I'm just going to slice that off. So that's all we need the decorative trimmer for. We don't need that again. So the next thing that I did to create my border, I'm going to pull out my little laser cut that I will be using. which is this one here. I mean, these laser cuts are really beautiful, and I mean, you can actually use any one of those. So there's my laser cut. So now I'm going to make my wildflower border. So in the example that you can see, I did that in the yellow, which is this one here. And then you've got the nice little colours on the back. I'm going to be doing this one in the green. So I'm just going to line that up in the trimmer. Make sure it's not directional paper, so I might go that way. So I'm just going to punch that border and then lining it up as we go. So just following along, covering up the blue on the reverse side, so we get that nice wildflower border. So that's, put that aside. So just clear up my leftover rubbish. And when I put my border on, it's going to be looking something like this. Now I'm happy with that. I like the color concept with that. So I'm going to bring back in the 12-inch trimmer. And I'm going to line that up at 1.5. So your tallest flower at 1.5. And then put the trimmer aside. So now it would look something like this. And what I did was to create the different wildflowers. You can see that I've got pink and purples in between the yellow. I punched some extra wildflowers from the border and I cut them off. So as you can see, I've already got some here pre-cut from my previous one. Oops. So I've got those. And I might add some yellow flowers in that. So I'm just going to punch out a few yellow. I've got some yellow here. So the only thing that you want to do is that you want to make it a little bit colourful. Okay, so then what I did was I just cut around the flower. So I'm just going to trim that off. And you're just curving in the flower. And that way that you still got the background that you created. And it's still got the green as in the leaves. So this would be the difficult part in the process of doing this border, and a little bit time consuming, but the end result is what we're aiming for. So I'm just going to use my mat and some repositional tape. And I'm just going to match it up. And as you can see, the difference in just having it in a plain colour and then having it a little bit more colourful. On the reverse side of the yellow, I mean, you've got all these nice little colours here. They would look great if you weren't going to be doing the Easter eggs, or if you're going to, you could actually do the eggs yellow, and then you could use the nice little colour flowers on the reverse side. So that would make it another different look on your flowers. So I'm going to continue to cover up my flowers, and then we'll move on to the Easter bunnies and the Easter eggs. So I've just finished cutting out all the flowers that I wanted to use onto my border. So now I'm just going to put some repositional tape on those and start putting it together. And then you can see the difference from having a plain wildflower border to a decorative one. So I've just randomly cut some flowers out and placing it on, and still leaving some of the green flowers in the background, just to break it up from the colour. They are very fiddly. So if you have this border, the Wildflower Border, why don't you give this a go today and, you know, create a border with the wildflowers and doing it of different layers of different colours, and it makes a beautiful border, especially with a garden page, or, you know, if you're visiting some gardens or flowers. So this is my last one. So as you can see, when I put this now on my base of my border, you can see how pretty that looks and the difference it makes when you're adding those extra flowers onto your border. So now that we've created our border, we're going to stick everything down. So I'm still going to be using some repositional tape. So I'm just going to reposition it from the bottom. I'm not going to stick down the flowers. And I'm also just going to put some repositional on the bottom of the laser border. Lift that up. And I'm just going to do it a quarter from the bottom, and then I want to stick this one behind. Hang on, I might have to put this one down first. So I'm going to line that up again. So I think it might work if I do it from 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then put my laser border on the top. So I might move that up a little bit more because it can go up a bit more. So probably about 3/4 from the bottom. And then this one 1/4 from the bottom. And the reason why I didn't stick down these bits here is because you can stick the, you know, the Easter bunny on the eggs behind the flowers, not just in front of the flowers or in front of the nice little flower bush there. You can also stick them behind. So now the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to bring in my 13 by 13 inch cutting mat, and then just get my little instructions here. So for the egg, I use that hard template with the egg shape in the middle, and to make the smaller eggs I use the blue blade. So the blue blade will make it smaller, The red blade will make the eggs that size. So I'm going to cut out a couple of these in the nice little stripes. It can vary up to how many eggs that you would like to create and place on your page. So I'm just going to do a couple of these, a couple of the stripes. And then just bring it in my other colours. I might do a couple of the yellow. So then you have, I might do the yellow and the stripe. Might use this stripe one. And then just bring it in my other colours. I have pink. I do a pink egg. I'll do a couple of pink. And maybe, let me see, maybe a purple. Or I'll do another yellow, but do the reverse side so we got the nice little colours. So I think I've cut out about 6 eggs, I think it is, all up. Let me see, so that's 4, 7. So I'm just going to place them randomly at the moment and then decide where I want to sit them. So I might just follow along with the same one, but I might have these ones up the back. I might do these ones in the front. So to make our bunny, you're going to need the small circle. I'm using the red blade, and I have some bright white cardstock. So I'm going to be cutting 2 circles from that, because I'm making 2 bunnies. So we've got my 2 circles. Oops. And then we want the piece by piece punch. And I am going to be using that really tiny circle. I found that that circle was a little bit too big for the face of the bunny. So we want to get 4 circles. So we've got our 4 circles there. And then I've got some soft pink, and this is where the full of hearts came in. I used the heart shape for his nose. So I'm just going to punch out one of those. And I used the 2 the same size. And then the next step, I did make myself a little template to cut out the ears. And for the ears, you're still going to need your bright white cardstock and the soft pink. And I made a little template, so that way all my ears were going to be the same size. So you could do exactly the same thing. So really, I made my template. What I did was just use some of this pink. Just use this in up here. So what I did was I folded in half, that way it was matching. And then I would just do a bunny ear. And you can tweak that a little bit because it is only in pencil. And then I cut it together. So that way they were the same. And gave me a little curve at the top. And so I'm just going to fix that up a little bit. Just putting it back together. And there you have two little bunny ears. So when you're cutting together like I just did then, you're going to have the same shape. And when I done the pink on the inside, I more or less just used that, but I cut it a little bit smaller. So I'll show you how I did that. So now that you have your template, I've got my template, and I'm going to trace out 4 bunny ears. So 4, and then just going to cut these out. So we have 1. This is what I was saying before with the daisy punch. If your face was a little bit smaller, you would be able to use that daisy punch. Because you can just cut it down like this. And then cutting it off. But as you can see, when I put that under the little bunny, it's just a little bit too small. But in saying that, I never used it for the pink, but you could actually use that for the pink because that's going to fit inside. So just cutting around the bunny ears. They don't have to be perfect. Oops. Getting all caught up here. Last one. So I'm just going to use the reverse side of those so I don't have to rub out the pencil lining. So I'm just going to tweak these a little bit just so they're all a little bit more even. So I'm just going to try the pink. No, I think I'm just going to cut the pink out. So with the pink, more or less did exactly the same. But then I just cut it smaller. So what I did was I just cut on from the inside and then taking it around and then going down. And if it's still a little bit too big, I would just cut a little bit more off. and then that will go onto the bunny like that. So now I'm going to trace about 3 more of them, but I might cut this out and use that as a template. I have 1, so we only need 3, 2, 3. And we'll also just cut them out and use the reverse side. Last one. So I'm just going to curve it up the top a little bit more because I don't want a point, I want a curve. So I'm just going to get my repositional tape and stick them onto the white. So I've got them down a little bit. So I'm going to do exactly the same. So now to situate these behind the bunny ears, what I did was I lined the circle up on my mat and even it in between, I think it measures like 1.5. And just using my normal tape runner, just putting some tape runner on there, and then I would use each point at the side as my guide. Oops, to line up the ears. Just like that. So now I'll do the next one. So just lining that up in between the 1.5 and then putting the ears on the side. Take that down a little bit more. So with my eyes, I'm using the precision glue pen. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots here. For the eyes. Using my multi-purpose tool to help me. And then just putting them into place. And then the next one. Keeping that bunny straight so you've got your ears, should say your eyes in the right position. So now to make the whiskers, use the black cardstock. And I'm going to bring in the 12-inch trimmer. Let's move all that out of the way. And the great thing about our 12-inch trimmer, we can actually trim little strips, like thin little strips like that to make whiskers and all thin strips of paper that you might want. So what I'm going to do is, there's my cut line, there's my cardstock, so I'm just going to put it past that cut line a tiny little bit, and then just cut a whisker of some black cardstock. It's only very thin, but they make a great little whiskers for your bunny rabbit. Or if you're doing some animals, exactly the same thing. You know, like cats and dogs, mice. You can actually do the same thing, you know, to make some whiskers on their face. So how I done this is I left them that. I'm not sure how long they are, but I will check. It's about 3 inches. And because my bunny's only got a small face, I am going to fold these in half and cut them. So then it'd be like 1.5. So lining them up, trimming that. Then what I did was I brought back in the glue pen and put some glue pen in the middle, and then sat the whiskers on the way I wanted them to lay out. It's very fiddly. And then this one. And then I got my little heart. Put some glue on that. So with the heart, you want to turn it upside down. And then I set that in the middle. And there's my little bunny rabbit's face. So now I'm going to do the next one. Put some glue in the middle. Put on my whiskers. Now the heart. The glue pen is really good. It dries really firm, so you won't have to worry about anything falling apart. And then once it's been down for a little bit, I do push it down to give that final seal. So I might leave that one just for a little bit longer. And then I brought in my black tip pen, and I used the fine end, and I just done that little curvy thing down the bottom. And there's my bunny rabbit. And when I made this one, I actually used the circle punch, so that, as you can see, it's a little bit bigger. Just use the bigger heart, the bigger eyes, you know, the length of the 3-inch whiskers, and then I've done the ears. So now that we've done that, put everything together. And I did use some foam tape, or the foam squares, whichever you might have. So I'm going to stick down these ones. So just using normal tape runner. And I'm going to put them ones behind. These ones in front. So tape runner. And then some foam squares. I should say foam tape that I'm using. So there, and there, and then these two. still going to stick behind the top here. Then one Mr. Bunny. Can go here. Just tuck in behind that flower. And the other one I put on some foam tape. And a little bit behind the ears, so his ears are popping up. So I'm just doing the bottom for now, because if it's hanging over my page, I don't want to, you know, take the foam tape off and it's going to stick. So then I'm going to put this one here. So when I stick it down on my page, then I can add some more foam tape on that. So, bringing back in my piece of paper, take away this, and as you can see, there is my Easter Bunny border. Now, how cute does that look? Very simple to make, using all your Creative Memories tools, just to create a different design and bringing together a beautiful border for Easter. These work well with, you know, like your Easter celebrations, the Easter hunt with the grandkids or your younger children. What a great way to use the Springtime Soiree and all our punches. You could go even better and make a bigger Easter bunny and place it on your page near a title or something like that. So I hope you enjoyed this today. I enjoyed creating a border. I don't usually do a lot of borders. Doing the Easter border to add to my Easter pages this year for 2025. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, everyone, happy scrapping.